we have discussed the basically three kinds of events, and out of which the first one was our initialization. Then we discussed the select add selection screen. Then we discussed start of selection. Now let's continue it. So I will open my logon. We have seen initialization, add selection screen, and start of selection. So what we discussed in start of selection was that all my selection logic will be part of this particular event, right? We have
Yeah.
discussed this thing in the previous session.
Yeah.
Let's see where it was. Yeah, start of selection. Now, fourth one, which is end of selection. Fourth event, end of selection. What do you think? Just relate it with start of selection. What is the meaning of end of selection?
To end the the written program.
Not program. Program will, if you are telling about program simply means everything that is written inside it. Here, I told you that in start of selection, selection logic is part of this event. So when when our selection process ends, SAP automatically SAP automatically calls the event end of selection. Okay, SAP automatically calls this event end of selection, and this event helps us to identify the end data or records. That is, let's say if you want to display something at the end of your when your all data has been displayed and you want to, let's say, display something, then you can use this end of selection event. For example, here I am displaying my data, so let's just use loop statement, it will be more clear. uh, Remove this thing. I will use loop at lt employee into ls employee and loop. In between, we will display our data first. So ls employee hyphen employee id, ls employee hyphen employee name, ls employee hyphen department, ls employee manager. This is how I am going to display it. Now, end of selection. End of selection. Okay, let's say I'm displaying something here, right?
Yeah.
All data has been displayed already. This is the thing I'm just writing here. Now I will click on activate button and I will click on execute. Just see what is going to happen here. See here. All data has been displayed already, right? So
Yes.
you might be thinking, Michael, that this can be possible because we are simply displaying all our data using this loop statement. And once it is being displayed, after that, I have written this write statement. That is why it is being displayed at the last. But the order of events are very different, Michael. Even if you are going to write this code above the start of selection, it will trigger only after start of selection. Okay.
Okay.
This is the process of this thing. Just see here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you have written, but if you have written anything in a particular event, that event will only trigger if any button has been clicked or its time has been reached. So once your startup selection has been done, all the data has already been displayed, then and only then your end of selection event will trigger. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then and only then your end of selection event will trigger, right?
Okay.
So this is your end of selection. Now we have another one, top of page. What do you think? What is the use of top of page event? To give a heading,
To
right?
give a heading, the title.
Yeah, top of page. This event, this event triggers when the first write statement occurs in the program. When the very first write statement occurs in the program, then this particular event triggers. And this event, or let's say the purpose of this event, the purpose of this event is to provide the title or header at the beginning of a new page. Okay.
Okay.
It is used to provide the title at the beginning of a new page. So if you want, you can simply write here, let's say top of page, and I'm writing here a very beautiful heading, employee details. Okay.
Okay.
Employee details. I will simply activate my program. I'll click on execute and let's see. See here heading.
Okay.
This event is used to give a particular heading to your new page. Okay. Then we have similar to it called end of page to give a footer to your page. Okay.
Okay.
End of page. Sixth one. End of page. So how we are going to write it? So end of page events. So, or let's say this event calls when the last write statement occurs in a program. Okay. And the purpose of this event is to give the footer to a particular program. Okay. Sorry, particular page. Is it clear?
Yeah.
But for this event, there is one thing mandatory. We are required to provide a line count. We
Okay.
are required to provide a line count. Let's see how it is going to work. This is your page, Michael. This is your program, Michael. And whatever data you are going to display here, that will be displayed over the output screen. But if you want to use the end of page event, you will be required to pass here line count. Line count. That is, if my program will consist of 11 lines, I want to reserve last two lines of the 11 for the footer. Okay.
Okay.
This kind of thing you will have to mention if you want to use this end of page event. So let's say I'm displaying the data here like uh, end of page event triggers. Okay. Let me just show the beauty of this event to you. I'll click on activate, I will execute, and I will display my data. See what is happening here. End of page event triggers. Another page it has, since I have just limited my data to 11 line only, so once 11 line is being reached, all other data is being simply flowed to the next page. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so let's just increase it to 13 and let's see what data we will get. Execute. Yeah, now it is perfect. See here. So we have simply given 13 lines for this page and last two lines is there for your end of page events. Is this thing clear?
Yes.
That's good. Now the most important event for interview purpose and also to give a dynamic feeling to our web applications, also known as add selection screen output. Okay. See here the definition of it. You will be able to understand the importance of this event.
Okay.
First thing is this event triggers before displaying the selection screen or input screen. Tell me which event triggers before displaying the input screen. We already have discussed one event.
Initialization.
Yes, initialization also triggers. But what is the purpose of initialization? The purpose of initialization is to give a default values to your parameters or select options. But this guy is responsible for something else also. This guy is responsible for the purpose of this event is to modify the selection screen. Okay,
Okay.
or input screen. The purpose of this event is to modify the selection screen or input screen. Let's see the beauty of it, how we are going to play with it. So what I will do here is, let's just remove all these things. Now I want to show you the beauty of the code. Let's remove the parameter also. I no longer need it. I will create a project details table, internal table also. So for that, I will create a structure, project, and I will give here employee ID type data element of it, and I will give the project ID type data element of it. I'll give the project name type data element of it. This is how we define it, right?
Yes.
So I have defined here. Let's give a pretty printer first. Then we will define our internal table. So LT project type table of TY project, and then we will give here work area type TY project. See, our internal table and work area is ready. So let's define two radio buttons. Radio button is for PR1. Just see what I'm doing here. Then you will understand the importance of this event. So type C radio button group. I will give here a group called R1. Then another radio button, let's say PR2. Type C radio button group R2. I have simply created two radio buttons. Now, wait a second. Not R2. It will be R1 also. Group should be same. Now I'll go to text element and give here some heading. So let's say I want to display employee details. My requirement is when I select this radio button, my data should be displayed as employee details. And when I select this radio button, my project details data should be displayed. Are you able to understand?
Mm-hmm.
So range for employee ID. So this is my parameters and select options. Now I will write the event at selection screen output. See how we will play with this thing. So if first radio button, that is PR1, equals to true. Do you remember when I told you that for true value we pass X?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Okay, no issue. So when we if we want to pass true, we are required to pass X, or if we want to pass false, you can directly pass here a empty string. Okay,
Okay.
this is how our system realizes. So if there is something, let's say if my PR1 equals to true, so what I will do is just give here else and then end if. So what I want now is when I select this data,
Mm-hmm.
okay, when I am selecting this one, uh, let's some give some magic more. How I can do it? Okay, I want to give you a dynamic feel. So what I will do here is I will create a parameter one more. This time p employee ID. Type data element. Yeah, perfect. Go to text element. Let's give a name for it. So employee ID. Activate. Now what I want is when I click on this radio button, employee details, I should only or say when I click on this radio button, I should only see the select option over the selection screen, and this button should become invisible. Okay, it should be disappeared from this selection screen. Are you able to understand it? When I select this project details radio button, I want this thing should be disappeared, only this should be
Right.
available.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
We can do this kind of requirements. We can give a dynamic feel. See how we are going to do it. So whenever you want to perform some changes over the selection screen, always gives a modification ID for your parameters and select options, and based on that modification ID we give some modification. So using modif ID, a 3 character long modification ID is required to pass here. So I will, let's say, giving here parameter for PRM, and for select option, let's say I'm giving SEL. Okay, 3 character long should be there. You cannot give a modification ID for more than 3 characters here. So I will give this modification ID. Now my requirement is if my first radio button is true, employee details PR1, then I want that only this should be visible and this particular parameter should be disappeared from my selection screen. How will I do it? How will I do it? How will I do it? So for that, we use loop at screen. Focus on it. This is very important event. Loop at screen. Okay. We apply loop over the screen. Screen is a structure. If you want to see, you can go to simply S11. In the data type, you can pass your screen, display, and you can see structure, screen, standard structure.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I will apply loop over the screen and I will check if screen group 1, and we compare the modification ID. Okay, if screen group 1 is equal to which thing I want to make disappear, this parameter na.
Mm-hmm.
So I will give here PRM. If screen group 1 equal to PRM, then what I will do is I will make this screen active equal to 0. 0 means false, and I will modify my screen. See the what is going to happen over there. And if how your program is going to execute. See here, we have got group 1 and see the length of group 1, 3 character long only. Okay. That is why I have given a modification ID of only 3 character length. I am comparing here that if group 1 is equal to PRM, then I am passing active equal to 0. See, active here. This simply means that this parameter will become invisible now. Execute and press enter.
It's gone.
It becomes disappeared here. You can also pass something else. Uh, Here you can also pass screen uh, input equal to 0. Now it will change to read mode. Instead of becoming disappeared, it will change to read mode now. Here press enter.
Hmm.
So same thing we can write for our else part also, right? That is else if PR2 equal to true. If PR2 is equal to true, then we can write for select option. Select option, activate it, execute it, and see when I'm going for second one, press enter. See this thing is becoming
It's grayed out.
uh, yeah, it went to read mode. Now if I'll go for this one will become to read mode. If you want to pass here active, you can also go for it. Let's comment this out, and this time this one also. Activate, execute your program. Now see, go for second one.
Okay.
Is the thing clear?
It is clear.
So this is the beauty of add selection screen output event. Now you can write the code accordingly. Let's say we want to display our data. So we will go to startup selection. And if PR1 equals to true, then we will display employee details, right?
Yeah.
Select employee ID. Oh, sorry. EMP ID, EMP name, department, manager, from my table name into internal table LT employee where employee ID in SEMP ID, and then we will simply display data using CLDemo output. We will display our data employee ID, sorry, table name, or else if PR2 equal to true, I will display the project details, right, based on the parameter. So select. Is this something difficult?
What is difficult is to memorize these things and to be
And
able to
how do you
apply.
think I have memorized it?
Hmm?
How do you think I have memorized this thing?
Maybe because you have done it for many years.
Yeah, this is the only way. Keep practicing, okay?
Hmm.
You cannot remember this thing for a long period of time if you leave it.
Hmm. I know. So,
So now let's again display our data for the second part. CL demo output, display, and here I will give my internal table name, LT project. Perfect. Let's check for the syntax, no error, activate it, and see what is going to happen. I'm first, let's say I want to display employee details, so I'll press enter. This thing will become invisible. So let's give a input, let's say 107. I will click on execute. I'm getting employee details, right?
Yes.
Now I'll go for second one, give an input, let's say 103, click on execute.
Okay.
So this is the use of your uh, add selection screen output event. Very important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is this thing clear?
It is clear.
All right. So if it is clear, let's move on to the next topic. Uh, I don't think we need these things. So your next is eighth event, which is your eighth event. This event is add selection screen on value request for if for field. What is the meaning of value request? Do you remember F4 help?
Mm-hmm.
F4 help
That give us
or
the
search
possible.
help or value help. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this add selection screen for field event triggers when a user clicks on F4 help, sorry, F4 button on any input field. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what will be the purpose of this event then? What will be the purpose of this event?
Is to give us the possible outcome.
Yes, to give us the purpose of this event will be this event is to give a uh, give the possible values for a particular input field on the selection screen. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see how this thing is going to work. So I'll give the event here. I add selection screen. Oh, I have deleted the parameters. So let's give it again. P employee ID for no P EMP ID. What is going on? P employee ID type. Data element of employee ID. Add selection screen on value request for my field name, which is PMP ID. Okay. Just see what is going to happen here. Click on execute button and see. Are you able to get a F4 help here? Right?
No.
This F4 button is there now.
Yes.
But if you want to see here, just give a breakpoint when this event triggers. Click on activate, click on execute, and just click on F4. This event triggers at this particular time. So we have a separate chapter called module pool programming where this thing will again come. So there I will show you how we use this event and to pass this value. Okay. But again, we should know the use case of this event. That is why I explained here. Okay.
Okay.
Again, same to same, we have another event. Do you remember F1 help?
Yes. F1 help.
Add selection screen on help request for field. Okay. So when this event will trigger, what do you think? This event calls when a user clicks on F1 help for a field or on a field on the selection screen. What would be the purpose of this event? To give technical
Information.
information, right? Technical information. Use the proper definition always. Let's see, Michael. I will give you add selection screen on help request for my field name, which is P employee ID. Just put a debugger over here, breakpoint. I will click on activate button. I will click on execute, and I will press here shift. Sorry, I will press here F1. Just see how it is going to happen work. Okay,
Yeah.
then this will trigger, and again this is again it will come to our module pool programming. There I will show you how to pass F1 and F4 help. Okay,
Okay.
but these are total 9 kinds of event you must remember. Must.
So
Okay,
this event, they are in the output phase, right?
output phase. What?
You said in programming there are three phases or stages: input, process logic, and output.
That
So
is a separate stuff, Michael. I just being tie parts of program there I explain. Now, what is the meaning of a program? Program, what do you think? What is a program? Program, how will you define it if somebody is going to ask you what is a program? So you are going to say that is a bunch of code, right? But what is
yes,
the bunch of meaning of bunch of code? That it will take some input and then it will give us some output. That is why it is a program.
yes. So I'm
So
saying
if it
this
is going to
events,
this
this
event is for programs for a particular purpose
I'm
and they
saying
will
it for
trigger
the output
accordingly.
purpose. Is it for
Yeah,
the
not only output purpose. Just check about this initialization. This is for giving input, right? If a user is giving input on the input screen, then this event is there for validation.
okay,
This startup selection is for writing the selection logic.
okay,
Every event has its own use case. Please do not confuse it with other things, okay?
okay,
Please do not confuse it with other things. Now, next topic of this chapter, control break statements. Do you know what is a control break statement? Control break statements. Let me just show it to you.
okay.
Control break statements. First, they are also known as, they are also known as control break events. First thing. Second thing is control break statements are used to control loop, or we can say that they are used to control the data flow in a loop. Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
Data flow in a loop. Next thing, just see next thing. Control break statement starts with at and ends with and at. Okay. Control break statements are used to control loop, or we can say that they are used to control the data flow in a loop, and they always starts with at and the ends with and at. Is it clear?
This is clear.
But one important prerequisite prerequisite for using control break statements. Okay, first first thing is control break statement should be applied inside a loop. Okay,
Yeah.
first thing inside a loop. Second thing is internal table should always be in sorted order. Okay, internal table should always be in sorted order. Do you understand what I am telling here? What I am trying to explain here? So
Mhm.
control break statements are used to control loop, or we can say that they are used to control the data flow in a loop. Okay, and they starts with at and they always ends with and at. Prerequisite of control break statement is they should always be applied inside a loop and the internal table must be in sorted order if you want to use control break statement. Also, then how many types of control break statement? Types of control break statements. How many types of control break statements? The first one is at first. At first. Just understand the situation, what I'm explaining here. It triggers for the very first record of the internal table, okay, in the loop. For the very first record, then we have at last. This triggers for the last record for the internal table in a loop, okay.
Okay.
Then we have the third one, at new field name. Whatever field you want to apply, you will use it accordingly. So at new field event, it will trigger for the first record of a group having the same value for this specified field, this particular field. Let me just show it to you what I am trying to explain here. I will go to my SM30. I will go to SM30. SM30. I will give here my table name, project details. Okay, let's try to understand it. This is my first record of the internal table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my at first event will trigger for this record. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is my last record of my internal table. So at last event will trigger for this record. Is this thing clear?
Okay.
Now, can you see that this data is a one group having same employee ID?
Yes.
Can you see that this data is a one group having same employee
One and
ID,
two.
right?
Yes.
Can I say that this data is a single group having same employee ID?
Yes.
So your at new field event, at new field will trigger for every group at its first record. Okay. So
Okay.
how many time your at new will trigger? 3, 4,
Five
and
times.
5. 5 times. And there is a opposite one, same to same, at last,
Feed loop.
at end of field name. Same to same opposite of at new. What this event tells us is it will trigger for the last record of a group having the same values for the specified field name in the loop. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's implement it. I'll go to my SE38. I'll create a program. Z uh, control break statements. Michael create control break statements. I'll give a type executable, press enter, specify the package in transport request. Now, first I'll create a type structure for my project details table. So begin of ty underscore project. I will give an employee ID, type data element of employee ID, project ID, type data element of project ID. Then I'll give project name, type data element of project name. Then I will end of ty project. LT project, type table of ty project. Then ls project, type ty project. Just see how it is going to work. I will take an input. So for taking input, for taking, what is happening? My system is still loading.
Okay.
Connection is perfect. Why it is still loading? Let's just restart it if it is not able to work. Create program name. Tabs begin of ty project. First column employee ID data element. So now you would have remembered these all things, right? Because same stuff we are repeating again and again.
Mm-hmm.
So project ID. Why do you think I'm writing it again and again? I can simply copy it from the previous program, but I'm still writing it.
To be able to remember it.
No, so that you can remember the flow. Okay?
Mm. This is structure you are creating, right?
Yes. Then I will have my data element, sorry, internal table.
Internal table and then work area.
Then let's define a select option. So I'll be employee ID, type data element, select option uh, as employee ID for LV EMP ID. Now we will go to startup selection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we will write our select technology, employee ID, project name, from project details into table LT project where emp id in semp id, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now if this thing is, if lt project is not initial, is not empty, then we will go for loop and display the data. So I will now go for loop at lt project into ls project. I will end loop and I will display the data. Now see how my internal table is going to work. First prerequisite was, if you want to apply control break statement, your internal table will always be in sorted order. So we will simply sort our data. Multi project, we will sort it by our main column, right?
Yes.
Once it is sorted, now see, first is at first, right? At first. I am simply writing a code here that at first event has been triggered. Just see how it is going to work. Then we will go for add new, add new your field name, which is employee ID. Let's write something called add new event has been triggered. And let's say I will go for add last employee ID. No, sorry, not at last. At end of, right?
Yes.
And then we will display the data here at end of event has been triggered. And then we will display our data at last. So right at last event has been triggered. These are the four kinds of control break statement that we have. So my question is, Michael, what do you think? What will be my output if I am going to click on execute button? Oh, wait a second. There is some issue. Let's check for it. There is no and loop. Loop after end loop and if at first, and I have not given and at, that is why it is coming. And at, for every control break statement always start with at and ends with and at. Okay, no issue. Just give here and at and at. Now let's check syntax. Perfect. What will be my output? What do you think? If I am passing here 1012 105, what will be my output?
I have no idea.
You did not focus on the definition then. Add first event always triggers only for the first
First
record.
record of the internal. Okay. In
So
that
this
case,
write statement will only execute for the a one time
yes,
at
that's the
first.
first statement.
So first data, first output will be add first event has been triggered, right?
Yes.
Then this at last event, it only triggers for the last record of the internal table. So at last, only at the last, we will have this write statement. At last
Okay.
event has been triggered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now in between, we have at new and at end of. Let's check it out. I will go to SM30. I will give here my project details table name and see. We have got five groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
One, two, three, four, five groups. For every group, for its first record, my at new will trigger, and for its last record, my at end of will trigger, right? So
Yes.
for every record, this will executed and then this will executed. So one time. So for 5 records, how many times it will execute? 5 times, right?
Yes.
So how your data is going to be displayed? First this one, then this one, then this one, again then this one, 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 then this one. And when all 5 has been displayed, then at last it will be displayed, right?
Yeah.
Just same thing. Just read the output clearly. Okay.
Interesting.
Very important event. It is highly used for project cases to make some logical changes. So we must understand the flow of these control break statement events. Okay,
Okay.
is this thing clear?
Cheese.
Okay, very important topic it was. So let's move to next topic, which is field symbols. So for understanding this, I want you to tell me what is the use of work area or why we need a work area. If we already had the concept of internal table where we can store infinite of number of records at the runtime, then why do I need work area? The answer for field symbol is hidden in the definition of work area. Okay,
Okay.
why do I need work area? Just think on it and then answer me.
Maybe to process the data one by one.
Process the data one by one. Why? We cannot process the data from the internal table directly, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of records are there.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed work area. That is why we needed work area to process the records of the internal table one by one. Second thing is, uh, work area is defined by data keyword, right?
Yeah.
So can you say that it is a data object,
It's a data object.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it is a data object, it takes some space. If it is a data object, definitely it will take some space. It is
Yeah.
working like a container where we are actually storing a
The data
single
file.
row, right? Here
Mm-hmm.
the concept of field symbol comes into the picture. Field symbols are like a placeholders, okay? Placeholders for the data object. They are like a placeholders for the data object. Second thing is they do not require require any physical memory space. Okay, they do not require any physical memory space, but they point to the content of the data object. First point is they do not require any physical memory space. What they are doing, they will directly point to the content of the data object. That simply means that your field symbol, if you want, it can point to your variable, or it can point to your records of internal table separately. That's records of internal table. To make this concept more interesting, Michael, tell me, let's say you have a bank account, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to access the data of your bank account, you can go to any place, you can go to any ATM and you will be able to get your amount, right?
Yes.
Why? Why? because that ATM is indirectly accessed with your bank account, and your bank account is actually stored on the original branch of the bank, right?
Yes.
And remotely you are able to access all the data. So if you are performing any change, that is if you are let's say debiting some amount from your ATM, which is like 100 miles away from the original branch, still that data will reflect to your original balance, right?
Yeah.
The same concept is here, field symbol. This field symbol is not actually asking to have any space, but it is like a ATM where, and you are able to actually change the content of the variable also, and change the contents of your internal table also. It is
Mhm.
directly pointing to them. It points to the content of the data object. It will work like a pointer. Is this thing a little bit clear?
Yeah.
Now you can understand we no longer require work area. We can play with field symbols. But the problem here is, if you are performing any change over the ATM, it will directly reflect on the bank account, right?
Yes.
So if you are directly changing anything in the field symbol, it will reflect over the variable, it will reflect over the internal table also. But watch this thing happening in the work area? No. We were modifying internal table by passing the work area or by appending the work area to the internal table, right?
Yeah.
Unless and until I am not appending my data to internal table, it was not changing. But this is a ATM now.
Mm-hmm.
So one limitation of it is, if you will perform any changes by chance, it will reflect to your internal table at the same time. Because it is nothing, it is just a pointer. It is pointing to the contents of your original location. If you will perform any change, it simply means you are performing changes here.
Yes.
If this thing is clear, let's just see the syntax of it. Its syntax is, this is how it is defined. It is defined using field symbols keyword fs. Okay, in between, in between less than and greater than sign, you are going to define your variable name like this. Let's say fs uh, employee ID. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is how it is defined. So let me just show you how we can use it. Now let's go to program. I will give here, let's say, field symbol Michael. I'll go for create button, field symbols in ABAP programming. In the type, I will give here executable. In the package, I will assign the package and transport request, and see the magic. Just see how I'm going to play with it. Let's say I'm defining here a variable data LV employee name of 10 characters, and not 10, let's increase its length to something called 30. I'll make a type C, and let's say I'm passing a value called Abhishek Yadav. This is a simple variable. We know how to define it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's say I'm defining here field symbol. Field symbols, I'll give here, let's say, fs underscore name, type characters. Okay. Now see how your field symbol is applied. For 3 steps for every time when you are going to use the field symbol. 3 step will always used. The first step is define field symbol. Okay. If you want to use field symbol, 3 step we will always use. Out of which the first one is defining field symbol. Second step will be Michael. Step 2. Step 2 will be assign assign the variable to the field symbol. Okay,
Yeah.
variable, internal table, anything. Okay, anything. Step 3, Step 3 will be check if the assigning has been done or not. Okay, we are required to check it. If it is not assigned properly, there is a possibility that your data can be corrupted. Okay, so we should always check if the assigning has been done correctly. So here I have defined my variable. So defining field symbol. This is my defining field symbol. Then I will assign it. Assigning. In the assigning, let's see how we're going to assign. Assign your variable name, which is LV employee name, to your field symbol name, FS name. Okay. And we will check that if assigning is done or not. Or not. So this is how we are going to check it. If FS name, your field symbol name is assigned. Okay. This is how we will check it. And all the logic you are going to write in between this if statement. Is this thing clear?
Yes.
So if your thing has been assigned, then whatever operation you want to perform, then you can perform between this if statement. So let's say I'm changing the content of field symbol now. Field symbol or name is equal to Amrit Raj. Now I'm changing the content and I am displaying my data now. First field symbol name and second my employee name. What will be my output for both the right statements? Just see the code and answer me, Michael. What will be the output
Amit Raj.
for both of them
For both of them,
or the only one of them?
only one of them will be
Which
Amit Raj.
one? For the first or the second?
For the second,
For the second, it will be Amrit Raj, but for the first, it will not be Amrit Raj. Why? And for what? Michael, tell me one thing. You know now that this is a ATM, right?
yes.
This ATM is reflecting to my original bank account balance.
Mm-hmm.
So my first bank account balance was Abhishek Yadav, right? Now I moved on. In this one, I changed my ATM value. I let's say I have changed its value to Amrit Raj. So now Amrit Raj is stored into this, right?
Yes.
So still your FS name is reflecting to Amrit Raj, na?
Yeah.
Is your field symbol is reflecting to it or not?
It's
It is.
reflecting.
It is pointing to it, right? So if it is pointing to it, if I will check the value of my field symbol, what value will I get? The value of my, if you go to ATM, if you check for your account balance, that account balance is reflected from the ATM now. So
Yes.
it will reflect from field symbol and your value will be displayed the same. Check for the output. This is just a pointer. This is just a pointer. Whatever value will be there in your original variable or internal table, it will be reflected automatically inside the field symbol. Is
Yeah.
this thing clear?
It is.
Perfect. So this is the using field symbol as a variable. This is how we use it. Now let's say using field symbol as a work area. So for that, I will define a structure for my employee. Similar. JY employee. I will give my column names. Employee name, type data element, department, type data element, manager, Type data element, end of ty employee will define our internal table, right?
Yeah.
But we no longer need the work area now. Type table of type table of ty employee. Let's define a variable for it and it's their select option. LB employee ID, sorry, LBMP ID type data element. Then I will go for select option SEMP ID for LVEMP ID. Now in the start, no, before that, let's define our field symbol also. So here, how will I define it, Michael? I will use field symbol keywords, right?
Yeah.
Then between square, less than and greater than, I will give the field symbol. Any name, let's say FS employee and type. What will be the type? Similar structure,
Yes.
right? Otherwise, it will not understand. No? I am using it at the work area, so I will have to give its a logical type as similar to the work area. So now let's use startup selection event. In between, I'll write the select queries, employee ID, employee name, department, manager from a table name into table LT employee where employee ID in SEMP ID. And now we will display our data. How I display our data, Michael? How do I do? So loop at I write the code like this one. Loop I at LT employee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Into work area. So instead of work area, this time we will pass our field symbol. Do I do it? Will I do it? Will I do it?
You want to loop into yes.
I will write like this way, right?
Mm-hmm. FS
No, I will
symbol.
not like this way. What is the second step? Assign the field symbol. You cannot directly loop it. This is for looping into work area. Here I will use assigning. Okay. And loop. This is my second step. Third step is checking if assigning is done or not. So in between we will check if FS employee is assigned. Is assigned. If it is, then I will display my data. Okay.
Yes.
This is the procedure. Always follow the step. You will always get the correct output. Employee ID, FS employee, employee name, FS employee department, FS employee manager. Go activate it, execute it, and see the output.
Mm.
What is the beauty of field symbol, Michael? Now we no longer required to create a work area, or we are no longer required to waste our time to create a work area. Instead of that, what I can directly do is I can directly create a placeholder, which is your field symbol. It will directly point now what it is doing. Here, when I'm looping it, it is first pointing to my first row. Okay. When I went for the second iteration, it is now pointing to the second row and it is directly displaying the second row data.
Mm-hmm.
When I went for the third iteration, now it is pointing to the third row. So we no longer require a data locator, sorry, a container to store data over the application layer, which we are using the work area. Because if we are creating any data object by definitely it will take some space, so we are using the memory space, so it will definitely decrease some performance of your system. So instead of that, you can use your field symbol. Again, there is hundred of ways to do the same kind of work, but it totally depends upon the developer, what is his way, how he is going to do it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
is this thing clear?
Yes.
So with this, our chapter ends here. With
Yeah.
this, our chapter ends. Okay, with this, our chapter ends, and modularization technique. Then we'll see the reporting. Our rest of the chapters are not very difficult, instead, except these two ones. Okay,
Okay.
you can expect like 3 to 3 classes in them, but rest of them are not that much difficult. This was your data dictionary and ABAP programming, the most crucial one for the foundation part. Okay, if you have mastered these two things, you will no longer waste much time in the upcoming chapters. Okay.